My name is Matthew Bowler. I was in Boston cohort 22 that started in July of 2018, and currently I'm working as a software developer at a pharmaceutical company. Prior to launch, I was working full-time at a restaurant. I was bussing. I was waiting tables, bussing, doing hosts, basically running the entire front house, and I wasn't really enjoying it. I was fresh out of high school, so I was young for getting out of high school. I was 17 years old, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't plan on going to college. My goal was to go into the military, and that kind of blew up due to medical reasons, so I was kind of lost for what I wanted to do. And my dad recommended, like, hey, I know you always like to code, so I think you should check out the bootcamp program. So I did some research and I found Launch Academy, which was in Boston. And coming from Texas, I didn't know if I wanted to do that. I didn't know if I wanted to find one of the ones in Austin. But it seemed like it would be good to get out of my house, and I had a fallback plan of just flying back to Texas if everything fell through. So I just said, why not? And I flew over to Boston after the ignition stage of launch and hopped Airbnbs throughout the program. So my first exposure to code was at a fairly young age. I'd say 12 to 13 years old. I was coding in Java, and it wasn't really coding, it was just copy, paste, and adjust. I was making mods for video games. I say video games, it was exclusively one, it was Minecraft. And that was the only thing I knew how to code on, and I never felt like I was an actual programmer. I just felt like I knew how to make cool stuff. Coming to launch, I was 17 years old whenever I started the Ignition program. And that was definitely very scary. A lot of my peers were going off to college, going to trades, and I was looking into a boot camp that is not really the typical form of learning. And so having to take that initial loan out and make the jump to go to launch was definitely really scary. And it just, the hesitation of not wanting to fail was really what drove me to almost not do it. But my dad took me aside and he was like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You're just gonna end up here waiting tables again. And so I was like, you're not wrong. My first week at launch, my first week with the launch program was in July of 2018. And that was the Ignition program, and that onboarding process was awesome, and we had a wonderful community on Slack. But then actually taking the flight to Boston in early August, I believe, 2018, was exhilarating. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I got to Boston 3 days earlier than I was supposed to, and I would just sit in the cafe down the road, doing my launch homework, just staring at the building, ready to go. And whenever I walked in, I saw every demographic you could possibly see. I saw young people, I saw older people, I saw people that came from engineering, people that came from the food industry just like me, people with college degrees, people without college degrees. It was really overwhelming in the sense that I didn't expect that at all. And there's definitely people from every walk of life and every personality. There was so many friendly faces, and it was such a welcoming environment the first week there. I made friends right off the bat, so that was really good. Yeah, the first week was better than expected, and it really blew my expectations away. Initially coming into launch, being the youngest in the cohort, was definitely imposter syndrome immediately. Normally people talk about it at their first job, or they talk about it weeks into the job. I had it as soon as I got in the door. I felt like I did not belong. I was very scared, and I didn't know what to do. But 20 minutes into talking to people, I realized, like, once you're out of high school, it's kind of just like everybody's friendly and like, hey, we're mutual peers now. Yeah, I wouldn't say age really impacted anything other than my own self-confidence, but that went away very quickly in terms of gaining confidence in myself and my ability. Prior to coming to launch, I was in a pretty tough spot in terms of self-motivation, and you could say I was having a quarter-life crisis. My main goal in my life was to join the military. That's the only thing I wanted to do. I didn't take the ACT or the SAT, it was just the military. And when they said no, it was very much just like a truck hit me. And I didn't know what I was gonna do. I felt really lost and helpless. And whenever I thought a year and a half into the future, I was terrified that I was still gonna be working at that restaurant. I have no debt, I paid it all off. I'm completely student loan free. I'm living in my own apartment with a cat, and it's great, and I love it. And It's ridiculous. Never in my wildest dreams would have expected that this is where I would be. And I'm so thankful that Launch helped me get here.